Why is barbecue very dangerous to Haiti?
The only dialogue that Gary Conille should have with barbecue is in the sort of, how can I catch you and how many how many years are you going to serve in jail? Because that is the only way you're going to make sure that you punish criminality in the country. For the history of Haiti, you will realize that it has been something that has been happening time and time again. That you'll have gang leaders who will say that we are ready to lay down our arms and come into dialogue with the current regime. But who are you going to dialogue with? You are dialoguing with a person who has killed more than 100 people, killed 71 people in a massacre, kidnapped people. This is not a person that you can sit down and say that you want a dialogue with. The world is ready to fight these gangs. Yeah? So once the MSS forces touched down in Haiti, Gary Conille was empowered. You know, the police officers in Haiti were empowered, and now he is the one who can call the shots. While we know that the gangs still have power, they have weapons, they have the will to fight, but it came as a checkmate that actually this can happen. So that is why you find that barbecue is coming out to say that, yeah, we've seen what is happening, and perhaps we can decide to dialogue and see if we don't maybe need bloodshed.
Hello guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for the love. Nyini watu true sana. On our today's story, Boni, tell them something.
Hello guys, from wherever you're getting us from around the world. My name is Boniface Miriko, and we are glad to be here to speak again about Haiti and what is going on in Haiti.
Okay, Boni, today we want to talk about Haiti because you know very well that the Prime Minister of Haiti on Sunday told President Ruto that he want another soldiers so that he can help them to fight the Haiti. And you know very well that the leader, the gang leader of Haiti, who is Barbecue, said that he want dialogue with the Prime Minister. What is the problem? What is the problem over there?
I think first we'll start with discussing about the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
This is Prime Minister Gary Conille. He was a Prime Minister before, but was a Prime Minister for a very short time, four months. Then after that, he resigned because the government of the day was not very honest to the people of Haiti, and he chose to resign and left for someone else to take, because there were corruption allegations between him and the president, and he said, I won't deal in this. I will follow what the constitution say and resign and leave the government of the day to do whatever it wants to do. So it is after some time, by the way, he has not been living in Haiti for about a decade. He has been the regional director of UNICEF in Latin America. That made him to be a person who is a technocrat, basically not so much a politician, a person who is looking forward to academics and just basically doing things to do with policy. So, and that is one fact, one major fact that he was chosen, because people didn't want a politician in Haiti. Politicians have failed the people of Haiti. So that is why they wanted someone like Gary Conille, who could be seen as a neutral party, who is not affiliated with corruption or misappropriation of funds. So that is why Gary Conille was the best person for this job. And that is why actually even the gang leaders didn't have much problem with Gary Conille as compared to someone like Henry, who was the previous prime minister, who was rejected by the opposition and then came to be rejected by Barbecue's lot. So that is why Gary Conille was the best person to this. And even Barbecue came out and said he doesn't have a problem with Gary Conille being the prime minister, and so Gary Conille as a person who can unite Haiti. But someone else opined that this is just when someone, is as if when someone gets a new job. Everyone says, this is the best person.
True.
This is the best person, but until you get to the gist of the work, now people will start saying that he has some of this and some of that, because Gary Conille also has favor from the United States, has favor now from Haiti, has favor from Haitians. The first thing that Gary Conille did when he became prime minister is to go and visit the widows of slain police officers. That is something that Haiti or Haitian politicians don't do. So he gave this aura of a person who is caring about common people in Haiti and people who have lost their lives because of gangs. So that is why, or that is the nutshell of who Gary Conille is. A technocrat, not a politician per se. And by the way, in the recent trip to the US, Gary Conille didn't even inform the presidential council that he is going to the US. He sent a text message in the middle of the night saying that I've gone to the United States. So he is someone who is, he doesn't want this political bureaucracy to hold him back from delivering what he's supposed to deliver, as well as when he was chosen to be the prime minister by the presidential council. You know, this is a very, very hard task. This is a task that no one in the world would like. In fact, if you look at Gary Conille right now, he's handling something that most leaders will not want to delve in. Because in one way or another, you cannot be loved by the gangs, and then you'll be loved also by the people, and then you'll be loved by the international community. At the end of the day, he's going to lose one of these because he has to fight, you know. So at the end of the day, Gary Conille will have to be hated by some of these sections. So it is not a very lucrative job, but once he was offered this job, he said the following words, that if I refuse, then who else do I expect to go and take this mantra? So he is a person who answered a very difficult call, but he's working towards the maybe the betterness of Haiti.
When you talk about, you know very well that Barbecue wanted a dialogue. Why is it hard for the prime minister to have a dialogue with the gang leader of Haiti? Why?
Well, if you look at the situation right now first, and the position at which Gary Conille is in right now, he's in a strong position. We can call it a strong position, because he has already proven to the world that Calvary can come to Haiti. The 400 Kenyan forces were not only just soldiers or police officers. This was a show that it is truly indeed true that the world is ready to fight these gangs. So once the MSS forces touched down in Haiti, Gary Conille was empowered. You know, the police officers in Haiti were empowered, and now he is the one who can call the shots. While we know that the gangs still have power, they have weapons, they have the will to fight, but it came as a checkmate that actually this can happen. So that is why you find that Barbecue is coming out to say that, yeah, we've seen what is happening, and perhaps we can decide to dialogue and see if we don't maybe need bloodshed. But if you consider the past or the history of Haiti, you will realize that it has been something that has been happening time and time again. That you'll have gang leaders who will say that we are ready to lay down our arms and come into dialogue with the current regime. But who are you going to dialogue with? You are dialoguing with a person who has killed more than 100 people, killed 71 people in a massacre, kidnapped people. This is not a person that you can sit down and say that you want a dialogue with. In the international community guidelines, this is a person who should be apprehended. The only dialogue that Gary Conille should have with Barbecue is in the sort of, how can I catch you, and how many how many years are you going to serve in jail? Because that is the only way you're going to make sure that you punish criminality in the country. If you go to a dialogue with someone like Barbecue, you are setting a precedence. Other people who will take arms will say, you dialogued with Barbecue. Barbecue had killed people. He had maimed people. He had kidnapped people. But you chose to dialogue with him. Why can't you dialogue with me, even if I go out and kill people? So he doesn't want to be found in such a position where he can try and lead by an example, where he'll go and dialogue with such a person. It is setting a precedent that will be very bad for Haiti.
Why is Barbecue very dangerous to Haiti? Why?
He is dangerous.
What has he done?
He has killed people, as we know, or has been reported, even by Haitians themselves, that he has killed people. He is in a gang, of course. This is, I wonder why people will call it a revolution. because there are characteristics of a revolution. And we know a revolution when we see one. Arab Spring happened. That was a revolution. There was no, the civilians did not take arms. Even in the situations where civilians took arms, we could identify a revolution by just seeing the traits of a revolution. But you cannot tell me this is a revolution where we have different parties in the same country fighting each other.
True.
You know, and there is no government. By the way, Haiti doesn't have a parliament. It doesn't have it didn't have even ministers just before. Yeah, so there is nothing. There is no framework. What are you fighting for? We need to understand what exactly barbecue is fighting for. You know, you cannot say you are fighting for freedom, but at the same time you're the one who is kidnapping people.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah. You cannot say that you're fighting for liberty, yet you are the one who is constraining people's rights.
Yeah.
So we know a revolution when we see one, and as per my judgment, I don't think this is a revolution. You cannot take up arms against your own brother, killing them, and then call it a revolution. Just because you want to justify your own criminal behavior, you cannot just try and support you on that. So that is why Barbecue is very dangerous. He is dangerous to the social fabric itself of Haiti, making sure that Haiti is looking up onto someone who is a killer, someone who will take power out of murder. That is not supposed to be the case. Democracy should be given a chance. If at all Haiti wants to go the democratic way, people should be allowed to go to the ballots. They should be allowed to vote. Yeah. If you constrain the people the rights for them to go to the ballot, then I don't know what you're fighting for. Yeah. When Arab Spring was here, people took the streets over time and time again. And governments toppled in the Middle East. That was the Arab Spring. That was a revolution. But this, what is happening in Haiti, I don't believe that is a revolution, and that is why this person is a very, very great risk to the society.
Okay, do you think if they manage to arrest Barbecue or they kill Barbecue, do you think they would have finished the gang?
No.
What are they supposed to do so that they could be maintain law and order in Haiti?
The problem is not just Barbecue. Yeah. Barbecue is a symptom of this problem. Yeah. Barbecue is a result of the society which has broken somewhere. So we need, or the Haitians or the government of the day led by Gary Conille and the Presidential Council needs to really sort they need to come up with a cure and not only to solve the symptoms of this cure. They need to find what is ailing Haiti. Yeah. Unemployment, issues to do with poverty, issues to do with corruption. There's a lot of corruption. Even the previous Prime Minister, Michel and the sort, they were all implicated in corruption. Yeah? So there is a lot of plunder of resources in this country that even the population does not trust the politicians of the day. That is why Gary Conille has been accepted. So there is a serious problem. But of course, even if you are treating this disease, you have to first of all treat whatever it's being seen as a symptom. And that is, one, deal with the gangs. After you've dealt with the gangs, concurrently, make sure that you put up systems where people will be accountable. If it is unemployment, make sure you put up good strategies that will help these people not to fall back into gangs. Yeah. So that is the exact thing that should be done in Haiti, so that these people can feel that they are emancipated from these shackles of gangs and violence. Yeah.
What is why did the Prime Minister order another soldiers from Kenya to come and help them? What is the problem over there?
Gary Conille, if anything, he should follow what the president of Ukraine is doing. That is, I've forgotten his name, the president of Ukraine. He's supposed to go out.
The comedian president.
The comedian. He's supposed to go out constantly and look for support. And I believe that is what he's doing. Sorry. And I believe that is what he's doing. You can see that he went to the United States and consecutively reminded the elites in the United States that Haiti, they should not give up on Haiti. Haiti is just in their neighborhood. they shouldn't give up on Haiti. They should do everything they can to support Haiti to come back to its feet. Because if Haiti falls, these people are going to come to the US borders, you know. So no one wants that situation. At the end of the day, they should support Haiti to come back to its feet, and that is why, or that is what Gary Conille is doing by going out and trying to seek resources. One of the major resources that Gary Conille is seeking is to support the forces that are already there by increasing the numbers. And of course, Kenya devoted to send 1,000 troops, plus another 1,500 from different countries, Jamaica and Benin and other countries that pledged to send their soldiers in small numbers. So Kenya will have to also send another 600, but this is, as we discussed the other time, this will follow after we have secured important posts out there. The port, the airport, the hospitals, the government infrastructure, make sure that they are secured so that these other ones will have an enough or competent time when they come or they land to fight these gangs. So Gary Conille has to have that campaign running and active to make sure they have support. This is not enough. Just sending the forces will not be enough. At the end or after that, he will start looking for money to build Haiti again, because without this money you cannot invest. True. Without this money you cannot jumpstart that economy. So this is what I think he has started, activism, consecutively reminding the world that Haiti is here and something has to be done with Haiti. So that is why he is requesting additional members, additional forces. It's not that the first 400 have been have already been exhausted. No. Those 400 are not engaged in tactical fighting. He just wants now to start active tactical fighting with these gangs so that the dream can be actualized. Yes.
Okay, as you finish, what can you tell the Prime Minister of Haiti over there and the gang leaders that are there in Haiti?
He has taken up a very, very difficult task of going to lead a country that doesn't even have a government at the end of the day. But it is a task that if he achieves even half of what he's supposed to achieve, he would have really, really contributed to the future of Haiti and the history that will be read by our children and children about Haiti. So I think Gary Conille is at the cusp of history to make sure that Haiti has gone to a different level, that Haiti has moved to a different level, and that the people of Haiti will have a future. Even those who have gone abroad will one day come back and say, this is my country, and now there is peace and order, there is democracy, and people can live in happiness in Haiti. He is at a very, very critical point.
True, and we wish them well, we pray for them, we pray for our soldiers that are in Haiti to do their best and the country of Haiti to be well once again. I've been your host, Jeff Otieno. Until next time, game over.